Let's talk about system thinking and design thinking. The company I work with has a lot of consultants who mainly work remotely or at some of our clients. This is especially the case with our group of software developers. With the pandemic and recent changes in the dynamic of the group, it became more and more clear that they are losing their connection to the company. This connection is not something you can force upon people, and even less when those people receive job offers from our competitors multiple times a day. With my newfound knowledge about systems and design thinking, I proposed to try and reawaken their flame. I started looking at the team as part of the entire organization and noticed their connections are thin at best. But looking at the group of developers, it seemed their connection amongst themselves were just as thin. Before this group could contribute to the organization as a whole, they first need to rekindle the connection amongst themselves. I started talking to some of the nodes with the strongest connections within the group, the former team lead and the current team lead. I got into a conversation about the coming year plan and the fact that we have not seen many of the developers around the office lately, and what they think could be the reason behind this. We discussed a couple of ways to rekindle the connection and explained what I've learned about design thinking and appreciative inquiry, and how this could help them not only launch the making of their year plan, but also strengthen the connection within the group. They told me that they had an away day coming up, where I was allowed to fill the morning program with Appreciative Inquiry. Not an ideal setup to put a project this size in a few hours, but the main actors were enthusiastic, and software developers tend to be more accustomed to sessions where they are asked to speak their minds. So we planned it, not telling any other members what we're going to do during this workshop. I had gathered the developers in a room with no laptops allowed. There were sticky notes and markers on the table, and on the whiteboard wall people could read Discover, Dream, Design, and Destiny in different colors and decorated letters. For Destiny, I had used a combination of the colors I used for the other three. Everyone sat down with a cup of coffee right before I asked them to stand back up again for an energizer to get everyone on the same level of energy before we actually started. To start off, I explained what I expected from them to write down in the discovery phase, and they started writing and discussing ideas about what their value added and values as a team are to find their generative core. I asked them to put their sticky notes up on the wall, all at the same time. A bit of chaos happened. Interestingly, the notes did not emphasize their capabilities to build high-quality software, but were more focused on how they work together and function as a team. I asked them about this and they explained that this is what makes their current employer different from others, the focus on people and not technology. I started asking them to dream the perfect setting to support these values, and after some time to write things down, I asked them to put the notes up individually and explain what their stickies meant without going into practical solutions. The group was very engaged and even intrigued about the similarities between these dreams. As a facilitator, I've noticed the bond between the group strengthened right then and there. They were ready for the next step, but first a small break to replenish the coffee and sticky notes. We got back to doing the design phase, and while a lot of subjects were openly discussed, people wrote down the best ways to reach the written down dreams. To strengthen the bond between the developers even more, I asked the first one to come up and tell the group what kind of solution they thought of. After the explanation, I asked the others to add their sticky notes if it added to the idea presented. People were getting excited about building on each other's ideas, and by the end, no idea was there on its own, and every idea had a few suggestions supporting it. By now, the excitement of the group was felt quite severely, and there was one more phase to go. Who is going to do what? I asked. And without skipping a beat, the developers were signing themselves up to be an active part in different solutions. They even made small teams to tackle some of the bigger subjects. Near the end of the session, people started asking, alright, this is all fun and I'm getting really excited, but what are we actually going to do and with what time frame are we going to look back on this? They told me they had had plenty of these sessions where nothing was done to follow it up. I looked around the group and turned the question to them. What do you think is fitting for this? A small discussion followed, but everyone agreed. They were too excited to not do anything with this. So the next weekly and monthly meeting will set the stage for the follow-up, and they invited me to join. Applying a form of design thinking, in this case appreciative inquiry, helped this group of developers design their own future within the company and with each other. They were engaged and they automatically took responsibility for the plans they created. Their engagement is one of those complex management issues that can be resolved through linear thinking, because there is no straight causality.